I've always liked taking pictures in games using photo mode, or by simply taking a screenshot. When I saw Umurangi Generation, I thought it would be interesting to play a game that focused on that. I have covered another photography-based game on my channel in the past, but Umurangi Generation has a completely different vibe from it. Umurangi has this cool, stylish aesthetic that fits well with its dystopian setting. To top it all off, it has an awesome soundtrack composed by Thor High Heels. He makes great content on his channel, by the way. Now, before I go on about how the game feels, let's talk about what the game is like. Umurangi Generation is a 2020 game developed by Origame Digital and published by Playism. It's set in a dystopian future where you play as a Maori courier for the Toranga Express. Using your camera, you'll take pictures of anything and everything. The game is straightforward, so after selecting a level, you'll be dropped into the world to start taking photos. Each level has a list of photo bounties that you need to work on, like taking pictures of certain objects and people. Completing the bounties can be as simple as snapping a quick shot, but some will have special requirements. You'll need to use different camera lenses to take some of the photos, which gets challenging if you're trying to get a close-up shot of multiple objects together. There are also bonus objectives that can be completed to unlock new equipment for your camera. It includes tasks like finding film canisters that are scattered around the map, and recreating photos from postcards. Once you've completed the main bounties, you can proceed to deliver the parcel to exit the level. And if you complete all objectives under 10 minutes, including bonus ones, you get a delivery bonus. The timer always starts at the beginning of each level, but you can ignore it if you just want to explore and take photos at your own pace. Every picture you take will be scored by the game, and you'll be rewarded with money. That is, if your picture doesn't include blue bottles, which are these strange-looking things that'll deduct your earnings. They're easy to avoid early on, but later levels will have them in sneaky spots. But yeah, photos in general will be scored based on color, content, and composition. If you're clueless about the technical aspects of photography like I am, you don't need to worry about it too much. There's a tutorial in the menu that gets quite detailed with how it all works. But ultimately, you're encouraged to take whatever photo you want, because art is subjective, so you're free to get creative with every picture. By the end of the game, you're going to have a lot of camera lenses and settings to mess with. It almost makes the camera feel like an actual DSLR, which makes testing them out the perfect reason to replay levels. But I'm sure you'll be going back to the levels anyway because they're packed with so much detail. Sure, it made a few bounties hard to find in the larger maps, but the amount of buildings, objects, and people make it incredibly fun to take all kinds of photos. I really like the low poly graphics of the game, including the urban environments full of posters, graffiti, and street corners. The only thing that I had mixed feelings about with the levels was platforming. Or I guess it's more accurate to say that the controls for platforming were clunky. I thought I had a hard time because I only discovered that double jumping was possible on the third level. But nope, I still fell and got stuck in between platforms a lot, so it got a little frustrating to climb up to certain spots. Anyway, the levels in this game are more than just maps for taking pictures. At first glance, Umurangi Generation looks like a normal photo game with a neon, urban aesthetic. Like, the first level is pretty peaceful. It just has a bunch of rebellious teens hanging out with their penguin friend. But as you progress through each level, you get to see more of the things that are affecting the game's world. There's a lot of politics here. Even the UN is plastered all over the game, and you'll gradually find out why they're involved. I don't want to spoil anything because of what happens in the story, but let's just say that there's sci-fi mixed in the game. But yeah, a lot of the events in Umurangi Generation, things like environmental issues and government criticism, are details that you'll discover throughout each level. NPCs, posters, and graffiti tell stories that help form the game's narrative. What made it even more interesting is how you play as a character that can't do anything about all of it. All he can do is witness everything unfold and take photos. Now, if you've played the game and you thought the story of the main game got a little crazy, the DLC, Umurangi Generation Macro has a few more revolutions in politics that hit close to home for 2020. Macro serves as an epilogue, so the first level starts 2 weeks before the events of the main game. Since some areas in the levels are filled with spoilers, I'm not going to show and tell too much. But yeah, the maps are just as detailed as the main game, and I think some are even bigger. Macro expects you to have played through Umurangi Generation, so it doesn't hold back with its bounties. You'll need to apply everything you've learned in the main game, because the objectives are harder in this one. There were a lot of vague targets, like I had to look up how to find the bounties because I got stuck every now and then. The new equipment was great though. You get to unlock even more camera lenses here, and best of all, roller skates. This was an absolute game changer, and it's a shame that you only get to unlock it in Macro. So yeah, the DLC is very much worth it if you enjoyed the main game. Overall, Umurangi Generation's 8 levels took me around 4 hours to complete, while Macro's 4 levels took me like 2 hours. I spent a little bit more time taking photos though, because how could I not? The game's currently available on PC and the Nintendo Switch. Despite the more grim themes of the game, it's a fun photo-based game to play if you want to unleash your creativity. And if you're not too big on photography, you might find the story and the world to be thought-provoking. Let me know what you thought about the video. I'm not too familiar with Maori culture, so playing a game with influences from that was fascinating. I'll be covering a few more short games soon. It's a welcome break from the long games that I've talked about in the last few videos. I hope you'll all check them out, and it's my first video of the year, so here's to 2022. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.